Okay, we're on round 6 now, and we're going to start making the stems. And if you look at your photo, you will see that the stems, this is actually, obviously the block here is sitting as it should sit with the flower on the diagonal. But if I just turn it, so we're going to be working sort of in this orientation. What we're going to make now are the shorter stems, the one that comes right out of the top of the flower and at the 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock positions. Those are the stems that we're going to be making. And if I just flip this over, you can see the structure behind the flower of these chains going round. So that is the part that we're now going to work on, so that you can kind of visualize where we are. And for this round, we're going to need a few stitch markers. We're going to need 3 actually. So get those ready, and I'll show you where we're going to be crocheting now. Okay, so the places where we're going to be putting our stitches in this round are between the 2 trebles that we made at the edge of each petal. So if I put my hook through between those 2 trebles, also if I turn it to the back, you will see that it's coming under that chain space which we made on round 4, which is in this case the blush round. So that's the hook position as we work this round. So let's start. So we're going to start by pulling up a loop. I'm using olive yarn here for the stems, which is the original colourway, but obviously whatever you choose to use for your stems, that's where we're going with this particular round. And I've just secured the new yarn in place with 1 chain. That's not counting as a stitch. I'm going to go ahead and put 2 double crochet, UK terminology, in that same space. And that's all we're going to need to do to start off. Now 5 chain, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and that's going to skip us behind this next petal and bring us to the next pair of treble. And this time I'm going to go through and just put 1 double crochet in there, and again, just so you can see, I'm catching that chain space in at the same time. Okay, so going all the way through the work there. We're now going to make the very first stem, and we're going to do that. Again, you'll be familiar with this if you've worked any of the other motifs. It's made in the same way. We're going to make 5 chain, 4 and 5, and then work back down that chain, putting a double crochet into 4 stitches. So I'm going to skip the stitch that's closest to the hook, come into the next one, make 1 double crochet in there and into the next 3 to give us 4 double crochet in total. 3 and 4. So we've got a little stubby stem. Okay, and we'll anchor that in position by coming back between those 2 trebles and putting a 2nd double crochet in there. Okay, and that creates that little stubby stem. Okay, so 5 chain again, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 to skip us around to the next treble, pairs of trebles, and through we go. And this time we make 2 double crochet in there. Now that's your repeat, basically making 1 stem and then just sort of making this little nub in the next one. So 5 chain again to come round to the next one, and you're going to follow your pattern with the repeat in it, because you're actually only going to be making 3 of those stubby little stems, 4 and 5. So if I just go ahead and get to the 3 stems, all right, so we're going to be making 3 stems in alternating positions, just as I have there. So 1 pair of trebles, we just have the 2 double crochet anchoring, and the next pair of trebles we have the little stubby stem. But you only want to make 3 little stubby stems. There's space for 4, but you just want to make 3. Okay, so let me get round and do that, and we'll see what we do to finish off the actual pattern. Okay, I've just made the 3rd stem, and what I'm going to do is complete the repeat as per my pattern, and what that means is I come back behind the next petal and put my 2 double crochet into the next stitch. Okay, so let's just have a look. You can see they're curly, but we know that's going to be fine in the long run. So there's 1 there at the top, and there's the 2 at the 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock positions. And if I show you the back of the work, we've still got 2 petals to go before we can join up. And all we're going to do that's slightly different, we're going to go 5 chain behind the next petal, and we're going to put our 2 double crochet into this one. So this is where we would be expecting to make a little stubby stem, but we're not going to. We're just going back to that pattern of putting 2 double crochet in there, and you can see we've just got 1 more section to complete to close the round. But what we're going to do here, and you'll see that this sits directly, if I turn it round, this is at the 6 o'clock position. Here we are, the 6 o'clock position. 12 o'clock is the stubby stem, 6 o'clock is where we've just been. And what we're going to do, those 2 stitches that we've just made, we're going to put stitch markers into them, and these are going to come in to play when we make the next lot of stems. If you recall at the beginning, I said we're going to make those stems separately and join them, and this is where we're going to start joining them. So we need to mark them. So the last 2 stitches you've made, those last 2 double crochets, just put little stitch markers in them. Okay. Mine are just little safety pins, little bulb safety pins. So whatever you have is absolutely fine. All right, so we've just got to complete this by making the 5 chain, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and coming behind that final petal and putting a slip stitch. I'm going to take that little strand out again, putting a slip stitch into the top of the first double crochet that we've made to join the round, and I will cut that in a moment. But you will see, we just put that where it needs to go, you will see that very much, hopefully identical to the picture, in fact, I've got my 2 stitch markers sitting at the 6 o'clock position, and the stem that sits above at the 12 o'clock position, I'm going to put a little stitch marker at the top in the skipped chain. So where we turned at the top, I'm going to put a stitch marker in there. There we go. So you can see I've got the stitch marker at the top in the skipped stitch at the top of the little stem, and I've got 2 at the bottom, which are in those 2 double crochet. So that should look like the picture in your pattern. So that's round 6. I'm just going to fasten off and sew that end in, and we will move on.